All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to talk about how to build a fortress around your company's most valuable assets, your ideas, your inventions, your intellectual property, especially when you have to put them under a microscope for a big deal.
Let's kick things off with a number that'll really make you sit up. $4.45 million. That was the average cost of a single data breach in 2023. And look, this isn't just about hackers. This is about what happens when your most sensitive info gets into the wrong hands. A risk that, absolutely skyrockets during due diligence. And this quote right here just nails the core problem, doesn't it? To show a buyer what your company is worth, you have to open the vault and show them your trade secrets. But the moment you share them, their value is at risk. Talk about a high-stakes balancing act. So, how in the world do you walk this tightrope? Well, we're going to break it down into 5 key stages. First up, we'll look at the high-stakes IP reveal. Then we'll build out your first line of defense with NDAs. After that, we're constructing the digital fortress, making sure we stock it with clean data, and then finally getting you ready to pass that all-important due diligence test. Okay, so let's get into it. This is the moment of truth. This is when you have to open up the company playbook. We're talking source code, secret formulas, your best customer lists, and show it all to outsiders. It is, without a doubt, one of the most critical moments in any deal. So here's the fundamental problem, right? On one hand, investors demand total transparency. They need to kick the tires and see exactly what they're buying. But on the other hand, your IP, especially those trade secrets, needs to stay secret to give you that competitive edge. So how do you show it all without giving it all away?
So, before a single file, a single piece of data changes hands, you put up your first line of defense. And no, it's not a firewall, it's not some fancy encryption, it's a legal shield. And we're not talking about some generic non-disclosure agreement you download online. This one needs to be tailor-made for the M&A battlefield.
Yeah, a standard off-the-shelf NDA just won't cut it here. Your M&A agreement needs real teeth. You gotta lock down who can even see the data. You have to explicitly ban them from trying to reverse engineer your tech. And this is a big one. Make sure the obligation to keep your secrets, well, secret never expires, even if the deal dies. This isn't just a piece of paper, it's your legal armor. Okay, we've got our legal shield. Now let's jump into the digital world and start building the walls of our fortress. We're gonna construct the modern version of a guarded, lockdown room.
And here it is, the Virtual Data Room, or VDR. Think of it as your own private, highly controlled online space, built for exactly this purpose. It completely replaces the old days of flying lawyers to a stuffy room filled with boxes of paper, and it gives you way more control. And you don't just hand over the keys to the kingdom on day one, right? You control the flow of information in phases. It starts small, with a short teaser deck, just to get a meeting. If they're serious, they get a more detailed deck. And only then, when you're in the final stages, do they get the keys to the data room.
This is such a great way to think about it. Your data room shouldn't be a giant supermarket where people can wander around and get lost. It should be a perfectly organized pantry. They should be able to go right to the shelf and find exactly what they need. A messy VDR screams risk. A clean one screams professionalism.
A modern VDR isn't just a fancy cloud folder. It's a whole suite of security tools. You can control exactly who sees what down to the single file. You can watermark every document with the viewer's name and the time they saw it. You can even block them from downloading your most sensitive stuff. And you can track every single click with a detailed audit trail. It's all about control.
So the fortress is built, it's secure, but now we have to talk about what you're actually putting inside it. Because, you can have Fort Knox level security, but if the data itself is a complete mess, you're just screaming risk to investors. Organization is truly everything.
And this just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got messy data, it slows everything down, it confuses people, and it runs up massive legal bills while your team scrambles to fix it. On the other side, you have clean data. It builds trust, it speeds up the deal, and it gives you a ton of leverage.
So, what do we even mean by clean data? Well, there's a term for it, data hygiene. And it's not just about neat folders. It's the whole practice of making sure every single record related to your IP tells a perfect, accurate, and totally consistent story about who owns what.
And trust me, the stakes here are massive. Take the assignee chain. Think of it like the deed to your house. If one founder forgot to sign a paper years ago, you might not legally own your core patent, or status records, One missed payment and a patent can be abandoned without you even knowing. It's what we call a silent failure. Poof, gone. These little details can create huge problems.
All right, so you've done all the hard work. You've built the fortress, you've organized everything perfectly with squeaky clean data. Now, the doors swing open, and the inspectors walk in. It's time for the final exam, the due diligence test.
So what are they really looking for? Let me tell you, they're not there to be wowed by your cool tech. Nope. They're on a mission. They are performing a forensic audit, actively hunting for red flags, for gaps in your story, for any reason at all to lower their offer or just walk away.
First up, they go right for the fundamentals. Ownership. They are going to verify that you actually legally own everything you say you do. They'll trace every single link in the chain of title, from the inventor to the company, looking for any missing signatures, any unpaid fees, any weak link at all.
Next, they dive into all of your agreements. They're going to read the fine print on every single license. And you know what they're looking for? Poison pills. Things like a clause that says a critical software license terminates if your company gets sold. Imagine that. The deal closes and poof, you lose access to the tech that makes your whole company work. Game over.
And finally, they're hunting for trouble. They're digging for skeletons in the closet. Are you being sued? Have you gotten any threatening letters? And the big one, do you actually have freedom to operate? Or is your main product quietly infringing on a competitor's patent? Because that's a ticking time bomb just waiting to go off for the new owner.
So, at the end of the day, you have to remember this. Your virtual data room is so much more than a secure place for files. It's the final, most detailed, and maybe the most important chapter of your company's story. A well-prepared data room doesn't just check boxes, it makes a powerful, silent statement that your company is not only innovative, but also disciplined, well-managed, and a rock-solid investment.